morning, everyone. As a kid, you may remember sometimes when you're in the house and your parents were going to sleep, I remember my parents would often say, we'll leave the side door open for you. And we'd come in through the side door. Well, our rabbis tell us that when God created the world, He said, I'll leave the side door open for you. In the beginning of the Torah in Bereshis, it says, this is the story of the creation of the world, Elo Tol Shmeim Ba'aretz, Bihi Baram, when they were created. And our rabbis break down the word, deconstruct the word Bihi Baram, and they say, you know what it's really saying? Behei Baram. That God created the world through the letter Hey, the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Behei Baram. He created this world, this whole world, with one letter, the letter Hey. And the question is, what does this mean that God created this world through the letter Hey? What's so special about the letter Hey? So if you could try to picture the letter Hey has three walls. A roof, a right wall, and a left wall. No bottom. But the only thing is, the left wall has a break on the top, a little opening. So the right wall of the letter Hey reaches the roof, but the left wall only goes 3/4 of the way up, doesn't quite reach the roof. That's what the letter Hey looks like. So rabbis say like this, what does it mean God created the world with the letter Hey? That in this world, it's very easy to fall out. Meaning it's very easy to drop, to sin, to make mistakes. Life is full of frailties and challenges and mishaps, and we often fall down. It's hard to stay grounded in this world. But God says, I'll leave the side door open. You could always come back in through the top of the letter Hey, the little opening, that's the side door. God says, I'll always leave an opening for you to come back in. And notice, when you were on the bottom on the floor, when you fell, you were on the ground level. But now that you come back in through the side door, you're on a higher level than you were before because you're coming through the very top of the letter Hey. And that's what the rabbis say, that when you do teshuvah, you reach a higher level than before. Yom Kippur is only 48 hours away. And not many, a little more, but tonight, 48 hours from tonight. And what are we supposed to think about at this time? How bad we are, how terrible we are, how many terrible things we did? I think most of us feel, we're doing the best we can, we're okay. I'm a decent person. Do I really have to pound my chest and say I'm so terrible? What does this mean? So someone once pointed out to me that Yom Kippur in English is translated as the Day of Atonement. If you take the word atonement, you could break it down to 3 words. The day of at-one-ment. It's the day we try to become one with God. What does that mean? We try to deepen and closen our relationship with God. In other words, this is not the day necessarily that we only focus on what we've done wrong. But we say, how can we get closer to God? And how can we get closer to our spouses? How can we get closer to our children? How can we get closer to our parents? There's no person who can say, I'm the best husband in the world. There's always room for improvement. I'm the best child. Well, you can't be a better child to your parents. I'm the best parent. There's always room. You could be a better parent. And nobody could say, I'm the best Jew. There's always room for improvement. So Yom Kippur is not so much about only the things you've done bad. If you've done bad things, of course you have to change them. But even if you feel I'm okay, Yom Kippur is the day that says okay is not good enough. You have to be better than okay. You have to be at one-ment, become closer and more one with Hashem and all the people in your life. Before Rosh Hashanah, everyone calls their loved ones and relatives, Shana Tova, sweet year, happy year. There's a second set of calls we have to make. Not to the people like before Rosh Hashanah who we're closest to. Before Yom Kippur, we have to make the more difficult calls to the people we're furthest away from. Maybe our enemies or people we had falling out with and struggles with. And these are calls that take humility and take courage to pick up the call to someone you haven't spoken to in a few months or in a few years and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's easy to call your mother and father before Rosh Hashanah and wish them a good year and your loved ones. But to call the people you're on the out with, that takes courage. This is the more difficult calls we have to make. And I just want to tell you a story. True story. It happened in Brooklyn. There were 2 families, and one family, the name is the Bader family, they were going to a very nice restaurant in Manhattan. And when they pull up, there's no parking in Manhattan, so they're going to the valet. And they notice the car in front of them is a family they know in the community, the Ashkenazi family. And they recognize them in the car, but they're online for the valet, but someone came to their window and they're having a whole conversation with the guy next to him from the window. And they're getting annoyed, like, we want to go, what are you schmoozing on the valet line? So they give a light beep a few times, they don't move, they're schmoozing. So finally this guy, Mr. Ashkenazi, he just went out of line, swung around, and went to the valet. When they come into the restaurant, the other couple comes over to them very upset and said, "It was very rude of you to cut the line of the valet, because when we came to the valet, they said there was no more parking in the valet, and we had to go find a parking space for 20 minutes 3 blocks away, and we had to waste a half hour looking for parking and walking to the restaurant," and they were really upset at him. And the guy said, "I'm so sorry, I thought you were talking. I thought maybe you were going to a different store in the neighborhood. I didn't realize you were maybe going to valet because you weren't going, so I went around you, I apologize." But they wouldn't hear it. They walked away in a huff. 5 months later was Yom Kippur. So this guy Ashkenazi is thinking, who did I offend this? He remembers he had this altercation in the restaurant. So he picks up the call to the Beta family. He says, "Listen, it's before Yom Kippur. It's 5 months later. Please forgive me if I hurt you. I didn't mean to do it. I thought maybe you weren't going to the restaurant. You were going to a different store. You were taking your time. I tried to hunk. You didn't respond." And they said, "You're right. It was foolish. It was nothing. We forgive you. Everything's good. Shana Tova, Gmar Chatima Tova, have a good Yom Kippur." And everything, they ended it. They went into Yom Kippur happy. He says 4 years later, they get a call from a shadchan, a matchmaker in the community. "We have a wonderful shidduch for your son." "Really? Who's the girl?" "Gila Bader, the daughter of the Bader family." This couple who they had that altercation with. They said, they got off the phone and they looked at each other and said, "We're friends. We have no problem marrying into their family. We're good." And sure enough, the shidduch went ahead. The couple get married. And now these two families are family, and they share grandchildren. And the person who told over the story, which was Mr. Ashkenazi, he said, "Imagine if I would not have called to say I'm sorry. When the shadchan would have called, I would have said, 'That family? Nah, I'm on bad terms with them.' But because I made that simple phone call, I opened up the doors, that now we could become mishpacha. Had I not done that, I would still be crossing the street when I see them in the street. But now we love each other because we're family and we have the same grandchildren." And that's, I think, the message of Yom Kippur. There are relationships that could be so much better than they are now. And therefore, the al-chait is not for the sins, but also for the potential that we're not realizing. You could be closer with your parents, you could be closer with your spouse, you could be closer with your children, you could be a better person in every regard. And so the forgiveness is, why wasn't I more at one with Hashem and with everyone in my life? And that's the way we should go into Yom Kippur, thinking, how can we get the most out of life? How could we make sure that if we've fallen down, we use the side door to come back in, and come back in on an even higher level than before.